The worst thing in this business is a bad contract. Pat Riley, Miami Heat president. These words ring true as we examine the most overrated deals in the NBA today. In this video, we're taking a hard look at the contracts that are causing headaches from teams across the league. From max deals for inconsistent performers to long-term commitments to injury-prone stars. We'll break down why these agreements are problematic and how they impact a team's ability to compete. Get ready for an eye-opening journey into the financial side of basketball. The Phoenix Suns Golden Gamble. The Phoenix Suns made a splash in the NBA when they acquired Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards. This move signaled their intent to go all in for a championship, pairing Beal with their existing stars Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. The Suns front office believed that adding Beal's scoring prowess would create one of the most formidable offensive trios in the league. However, the acquisition of Beal came at a hefty price. The Suns took on a massive 4-year, $207 million contract, which will pay him an average of over $50 million per season. This deal puts Beal among the highest paid players in the NBA, alongside superstars like Stephen Curry and Giannis Antetokounmpo. The contract size raises eyebrows, especially when considering Beal's recent injury history. In the past few seasons, Beal has struggled to stay on the court consistently. He played only 50 games in the 2021-22 season and 40 games in the 2022-23 season due to various injuries. This pattern of missed games is concerning for a player commanding such a substantial salary. The Suns are banking on Beal returning to his peak form, but his recent performance in Washington hasn't quite lived up to his contract value. Looking at Beal's stats from his last few seasons with the Wizards, we see a player who can score at a high level when healthy. In the 2020-21 season, he averaged an impressive 31.3 points per game. However, his numbers dipped in the following two seasons, partly due to injuries and the team's overall struggles. His 23.2 points per game in the 2022-23 season, while still solid, doesn't quite justify his massive paycheck. When we compare Beal's salary to other top players in the league, it becomes clear just how much the Suns are investing in him. Players like Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and Luka Doncic, who have been more consistent in their production and availability, are earning similar or even slightly less than Beal. This comparison raises questions about the value the Suns are getting for their money. The Beal acquisition has significant implications for the Suns' salary cap situation. With 3 max contracts on their books, Beal, Booker, and Durant, the team is deep into luxury tax territory. This financial commitment severely limits their ability to add depth to their roster. The Suns will have to rely heavily on minimum contracts and their mid-level exception to fill out the rest of the team. This lack of flexibility in roster construction could prove problematic for the Suns. NBA championships are often won not just by star power, but also by the contributions of role players and a deep bench. The Suns' top-heavy salary structure makes it challenging to build a well-rounded team that can withstand the rigors of a long NBA season and playoffs. The Beal contract also affects the Suns' long-term planning. With so much money tied up in 3 players, the team has little room for error. If injuries strike or if the trio doesn't mesh as well as hoped, the Suns could find themselves in a difficult position with limited options to improve the team. As we look ahead, the big question is how this will impact the Suns' championship window. On paper, the combination of Beal, Booker, and Durant is formidable. However, basketball isn't played on paper, and the Suns will need to navigate the challenges of integrating Beal into their system while managing the health and minutes of their star trio. Portland's $132 million question mark. While the Suns gambled big on established stars, another team took a different approach to roster building. The Portland Trail Blazers made a $132 million bet on potential, but did they back the right horse? In the wake of the Damian Lillard trade, the Trail Blazers found themselves at a crossroads. With their franchise cornerstone gone, Portland needed to chart a new course for their future. Enter Jerami Grant, a versatile forward who became the centerpiece of their rebuilding efforts. Grant's journey to Portland was anything but straightforward. After stints with the Philadelphia 76ers, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Denver Nuggets, he had a breakout season with the Detroit Pistons in 2020-2021. That year, Grant averaged 22.3 points per game, catching the eye of several teams looking for a dynamic scorer. The Trail Blazers acquired Grant via trade in 2022, hoping he'd be the perfect complement to Lillard. However, with Lillard's departure, Grant's role suddenly expanded. Portland doubled down on their investment, signing Grant to a massive 5-year, $160 million contract extension. Let's break down the numbers. Grant's deal averages $32 million per year, putting him in the salary range as players like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Jrue Holiday. It's a significant commitment for a player who, while talented, has yet to make an all-star team or lead a franchise as the primary option. Since joining the Trailblazers, Grant's performance has been solid but not spectacular. In the 2022-23 season, he averaged 20.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.4 assists per game. While these numbers are respectable, they don't quite justify his hefty price tag when compared to other players in his salary range. For instance, Jaren Jackson Jr., who makes slightly less than Grant, won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 2023 and is a key piece of the Memphis Grizzlies' young core. Jrue Holiday, another player in a similar salary bracket, is a former All-Star and NBA champion known for his elite two-way play. The real issue with Grant's contract isn't just about his current production, but how it impacts Portland's flexibility moving forward. With such a significant portion of their salary cap tied up in Grant, the Trailblazers have limited options in free agency. This makes it challenging to surround their young talent like Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe with the necessary pieces to compete in the tough Western Conference. Moreover, there's an opportunity cost to consider. By investing so heavily in Grant, Portland potentially missed out on other free agents or trade opportunities that could have accelerated their rebuild. The Trailblazers are essentially betting that Grant will continue to improve and become the type of player who can anchor a playoff contender. So what options do the Trailblazers have moving forward? One possibility is to hope that Grant continues to develop and becomes a more efficient scorer and playmaker. If he can elevate his game to all-star level, the contract might look more reasonable in hindsight. Another option is to explore the trade market. While Grant's contract might be seen as a negative asset now, a contending team desperate for scoring might be willing to take a chance on him. However, Portland would likely have to attach draft picks or young players to make such a deal palatable for potential trade partners. The most likely scenario is that the Trailblazers will ride out this contract and hope that Grant can be a productive veteran presence as their young core develops. This approach comes with its own risks, as it could potentially hinder Portland's ability to make significant roster upgrades in the coming years. Brooklyn's $40 million benchwarmer. From franchise cornerstone to benchwarmer, Ben Simmons' fall from grace has been steep. But just how costly is his decline for the Brooklyn Nets? The Nets find themselves in a $40 million predicament, paying a premium for a player who's become more of a liability than an asset. The saga began with a blockbuster trade in February 2022. The Nets acquired Simmons from the Philadelphia 76ers, a deal that sent James Harden to Philly. At the time, it seemed like a fresh start for Simmons, who had been embroiled in a standoff with the 76ers. Brooklyn hoped they were getting a dynamic, versatile player who could contribute on both ends of the court. However, Simmons' tenure with the Nets has been nothing short of disappointing. In the 2022-23 season, he played just 42 games, averaging a career-low 6.9 points per game. His rebounds, 6.3, and assists, 6.1, were also well below his career averages. For a player once touted as a triple-double threat, these numbers are alarming. Injuries have played a significant role in Simmons' decline. He missed the 2021-22 season due to mental health concerns and a back injury. The back issues continue to plague him in Brooklyn, limiting his ability to stay on the court and contribute consistently. In February 2023, Simmons was diagnosed with a nerve impingement in his back, further complicating his recovery and on-court performance. The financial implications of Simmons' contract are staggering when compared to other point guards in the league. His $35.4 million salary for the 2022-23 season was higher than that of established stars like Damian Lillard, $42.4 million, Trae Young, $37.1 million, and Ja Morant, $12.1 million. Yet, his production pales in comparison to these players, who are all primary scoring options and playmakers for their teams. Simmons' massive contract has severely limited Brooklyn's roster flexibility. With $37.9 million owed to him in 23 and 24, and $40.3 million in 24-25, the Nets have a significant portion of their salary cap tied up into a player who's not producing at an elite level. This restricts their ability to pursue free agents or make trades to improve the team around their other stars. The Nets find themselves in a difficult position moving forward. Trading Simmons seems almost impossible given his current value and contract. Few teams, if any, would be willing to take on such a large salary for a player with declining production and ongoing injury concerns. Buying out his contract would provide some relief, but would still leave the Nets with a substantial financial burden. The best case scenario for Brooklyn is that Simmons can somehow regain his form. If he can stay healthy and rediscover the skills that made him a three-time All-Star, it could transform the Nets' fortunes. However, this seems increasingly unlikely given his trajectory over the past few seasons. The worst case scenario is that Simmons continues to underperform and struggle with injuries, leaving the Nets hamstrung by his contract for the next 2 seasons. This could potentially force them into a rebuild, as they may need to consider trading for other valuable assets to create cap space and flexibility. Orlando's $224 million leap of faith. While the Nets grapple with Simmons' contract, another team is taking an even bigger gamble. The Orlando Magic have bet $224 million on a player who's barely seen the court in recent years. Jonathan Isaac, a 6'10 forward with a 7'1 wingspan, possesses a unique skill set that had the Magic dreaming big when they drafted him 6th overall in 2017. Isaac's potential is undeniable. He's a defensive menace with the ability to guard multiple positions, block shots, and disrupt passing lanes. In the 2019-2020 season, before injuries derailed his career, Isaac averaged 2.3 blocks and 1.6 steals per game, showcasing his impact on that end of the floor. His combination of length, quickness, and basketball IQ made him a nightmare for opposing offenses. But here's where the Magic's gamble gets dicey. Since entering the league, Isaac has played in just 147 games over 6 seasons. That's an average of fewer than 25 games per year. His injury history is extensive, including multiple ankle sprains, a knee sprain, and a torn ACL and meniscus that caused him to miss the entire 2020-2021 and 21-22 seasons. Despite this troubling track record, the Magic signed Isaac to a 4-year, $69.6 million extension in December 2020, just months after his ACL injury. The contract, which kicks in for the 2023-24 season, will pay Isaac an average of $17.4 million per year through 2025. It's a hefty price tag for a player who's been more familiar with the training room than the hardwood. When healthy, Isaac's impact on the Magic is undeniable. In the 2019-2020 season, Orlando's defensive rating improved by 8 points per 100 possessions, with Isaac on the court. His ability to switch on to smaller players, protect the rim, and create turnovers gives the Magic a defensive anchor to build around. However, comparing Isaac's contract to other defensive specialists in the league raises some eyebrows. For instance, Robert Covington, known for his 3-and-D skills, signed a 2-year, $24 million extension with the Clippers in 2022. Matisse Thybulle, another defensive ace, is playing on a much more modest rookie contract. While Isaac's potential might be higher, his availability has been significantly lower. The Magic's investment in Isaac affects their ability to build around their young core. Orlando has promising talents like Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and Wendell Carter Jr. As these players develop and become eligible for extensions, the team's financial flexibility will be crucial. With a significant portion of their cap tied up in Isaac, the Magic may find it challenging to retain all their young stars or add veteran pieces to complement them. There's also an opportunity cost to consider. The $17.4 million per year allocated to Isaac could have been used to pursue established players in free agency, or to absorb players' contracts and trades that bring in additional assets. For a small market team like Orlando, maximizing every dollar of cap space is essential for the long-term success. So, what does Jonathan Isaac need to do to justify his contract? First and foremost, he needs to stay healthy. The Magic need him on the court consistently to have any chance of seeing a return on their investment. When he does play, Isaac needs to continue his defensive dominance while showing growth on the offensive end. If he can develop into a reliable three-point shooter and improve his ball handling, he could become the two-way force the Magic envisioned when they drafted him. As we've seen, the NBA landscape is littered with contracts that haven't quite lived up to expectations. From Bradley Beal's mega deal with the Suns to Ben Simmons' struggles in Brooklyn, these situations serve as cautionary tales for front offices around the league. The importance of thorough risk assessment and careful contract negotiations cannot be overstated. Teams must balance the allure of star power with long-term financial flexibility and roster construction. Whether it's injury concerns, declining performance, or simply a poor fit, these contracts can have far-reaching consequences. They can hamstring a team's ability to make moves, affect player morale, and even derail championship aspirations. As fans, we're left to wonder, which of these contracts will have the most significant impact on their team's future? Will it be the Suns' top-heavy roster, the Nets' gamble on Simmons, or perhaps another deal we haven't discussed? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. NBA front offices will be studying these cases closely as they navigate their own contract negotiations in the seasons to come.